Hey everyone, Aaron with AOP Tech, and today we're in the STEM Lending Library offices, and we're going to take a look at the Robo C2 3D printer. So I'm going to walk you through the unboxing, setting it up, running a print, and then also taking you through how to pack it back up. And then in another video, we're going to take a look at all the resources and guides that we've put together on our website, aoptech.org. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is you're going to pop out, we're going to open the box, and then in the box, and I find this is easiest to do by putting the box on the floor and then lifting up. So once we have taken the printer out of its box, we have a strap. Now I have marked this for future reuse, rear and front. And so the reason being, once we unclip this, take this apart, this is important because this part that's marked rear houses the little print head here. So that's important for when we're packing it back up. So, a couple things we need to do first. So here we have a box of materials, so we'll take that out, we'll set that aside. Down here we do have a magnetic build plate, and it locks in on top of these we have little magnets here and here, and they click into the little bolts there. You just want to make sure it's seated and not up at an angle, because otherwise that would affect your print job. Now, for travel, we have put two clips on here, and the positions are marked. And the reason we do that, this keeps this print head safe, especially for traveling in the packages. Now, before you go to print, you need to remove these. To remove them, you're not pulling, you want to push down. So, something like that. I'll show you down here. So again, I'm not pulling, I'm pushing down, and I can remove them. Now, when we go to pack them up, you'll notice that we have a bigger clip and then two smaller ones, and that corresponds to, we have the two bars here, and you can put them on. So we'll talk about more of that when we go through the packing up stage. Okay, on the back of the printer here, the power on-off switch, as well as where the power goes. We have the serial number. This is Crafty Franklin. And then if you network installed and another USB port, we're not going to worry about those. The only two we're interested in is this power port and plug. So now one thing to note, the plug, when you stick it in the power, it does not fully go in all the way. Let me see if we can see this on the camera. It does stick out, you see, about 1/4 of an inch. That is totally normal. Now, you can hear the printer starting to warm up now. In this box, a couple things, and we'll go through what's in this box in a second. Right now, you're going to pull out this spool holder. And you'll notice, if I hang it here, you have a very tall side and a short side here. So the tall side is what's going to go into the machine area here. Now, when you bring it in, I'm going to put it at an angle. And when I turn this around, I should be able to see this part. It's easy to get this in correctly installed. And you should always be able to see this part from the front side. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'll put it in correctly. And I spin around the machine here. So you can see right here, I can see the little clip. So there's the hole. This is the incorrect way to install it. So if I put it in like this, notice I can't see any of the clips sticking up here. Okay, so I'm going to spin this back around. There's a little diagram here of how the filament is supposed to flow. So, I'll open my box of 3D filament, and we can see on here, it's a little hard for you guys to see, that this is PLA filament, and that's important because you notice that there's also a temperature range, 190 to 210. Now, this is a roll that I've been using for a while, and you see, so the end, I need to straighten this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pair of clippers here, and I'm just going to trim off that end so it's a nice square edge. You can do this with a pair of scissors. Now, when you're installing this, you want to make sure that the filament is coming down and around. So you don't want to install it this way and then up and over, because that's going to force the filament at this really kind of difficult angle. So again, it is follow this line, take your piece of filament, and it's going to come down and around. And then, right here at the top, so we have the umbilical cord for the printhead, and then this tube right here is where the film is going to go through. So we're going to feed it through the first hole here. Comes up and out. We're then going to feed it through the filament tube itself. And that's all going to sit right in this little hole right here. We're going to go through how to set this up for feeding. Okay, so in the case, there is this little tiny screen tool, and it's really helpful to use because you can use your fingers for some of these bigger buttons, but when you get into sometimes like you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, you really need a little tool like this, and that should be found in the little case. I'll talk about that in a second. So we need to get our filament inserted. And so to do that, you're going to click up here where it says Utilities, and then Wizards, and then where it says Filament Loading. So we're going to click on Filament Loading, Start, and the first thing it's going to do is going to heat up our print head. Okay, so here the instructions tell us to cut the used filament tip, and then we're going to load it on the spool and press Next. Okay, so now it says, so it turned on the filament feed motor, and when we see the filament come out of the extruder head nozzle right here, that's when we're going to hit the next button down here. So I'll show you what that looks like up top. Okay, so right here you can see the filament load mechanism is running. And we have this little blue button here, and this actually helps kind of open up. We see when I push on this blue button, it shifts, it opens, creates a little space. And so this is going to help us as we're putting the filament in and as we're extracting the filament. Okay, so I'm going to bring my filament up. It's coming out of the tube. Now we have two holes in the top here. This is actually for this printer can actually run dual print heads at the same time. You're going to use the smaller one is where the filament is, so closer to the button here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this gently to start to feed the filament in. And we can actually see it grab it, and then I'm just going to push down a little plastic holder there. And we'll wait for it to start seeing it extruded. Okay, we see it coming out. Hit the next button. And then you can just pull off that little bit of remaining resin there. Okay? And then we're just going to come back down here and hit the OK button.